This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Well, who's been where, when, and what films and what TV have they been involved with? My goodness, we got a few. Neil was first on. He was security on the television programme Heartbeat, and he said it was brilliant, loved it. And he also thinks that cyclists should be identifiable for insurance reasons. Problem is, if they're just identifiable, they would have to be separately prosecuted as an individual. Surely, even if they just paid a small insurance, like how much damage could a bike do to a car or another cyclist for that matter? I don't know, but it just kind of makes sense. Kevin Turnbull says that he just wants to say a huge hi to his son, Kieran. He says, I miss him loads. Can't wait to see him. Hang on in there, absolutely. Abby Lee has been to the place where they filmed Police Academy. God blimey, that's going back in the day. And also, it was the same place, apparently, the university where they shot the film Good Will Hunting, which is a bit of a classic of its sort. And the place is in Toronto. Fabulous, Abby. Janice Ferguson was on the telly, she says. She was in the rooftop restaurant at the Baltic when it was open. And she was filmed in there. Cool. And Damien Westgate, he's been to Benidorm, so you can guess the name of the television programme that he identifies with. He went to Neptune's Bar, which is one of the places that they film in Benidorm. And Amy Strong was at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida in 2007, where they filmed Space Camp. Brilliant. And the thing is, again, for anybody that's been lucky enough to go to it's called the Space Coast. It's on the coastline away from where all the theme parks are in Florida. If you've ever been lucky enough to go along there, what you really want is to see a launch, to see a space shuttle go up and feel the ground shake and all that. And when Amy was there, she was there with her dad. I presume they're just driving away from the place and had a reasonably nice day. You know, they had a look at spaceships that they've got in the grounds and all of the various things you can do. And the dad discovered that there was a launch the following day, but they couldn't go back because they had other stuff to do. Because that really would be spectacular. Has anybody ever been to one? That would be cool. Do tell. 0191 488 3188. Let's start taking a call. 03. Dawn is with us, and she's in Washington. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, love. What can we do for you tonight?
Hello. Well, I rang you a few weeks ago and told you my husband had been diagnosed with cancer.
I do remember.
Yes. He's in a great deal of pain at the moment. His spine has been crushed by the cancer, so he's taking morphine, etc., etc.
So he'll be out of it for most of the time you're there then, is he?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, blimey.
But you're asking about where we've been.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to Beamish. I mean, that's been on the television loads.
Oh, it has, absolutely. Lovely place. Nice.
And another thing I was on, it wasn't actually on the television, but it was on the Northeast News.
Right.
It was the medieval games at Lumley Castle.
All right, yeah. Excellent.
And I used to bring a horse up for the nights to ride.
Give over. What did your horse make of getting somebody on there carrying that kind of weight and running into other horses? Blimey.
There was actually no weight to it. It was all...
it was fakey stuff.
Yeah, it was polystyrene, etc., etc. You know.
Right, well, thank heavens for that. What did the horse make of having to do? Because obviously, if you've got a horse that trots around a paddock, it usually has a bit of a nice time. To be riding at other horses with people on their backs, got to be a different
lancers,
thing.
yes. So they rode at each other with lancers.
Right.
And they absolutely loved it.
Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that? Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Let a horse run and they'll love it.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, any excuse for them just to do something different, I suppose. It's the same as us in that regard. You do something different, you get a kick out of it. Right.
And they absolutely loved it. And I must admit, I thoroughly enjoyed working there.
No, I bet.
Doing it all.
But I mean, come on. There's Sir Lancelot's riding your horse with with your horse's night on it, well, did you not have your heart in your mouth thinking, don't hurt me horse, don't hit that horse with that lance?
Well, I actually didn't ride any of the horses.
Right.
I just we had a spare horse in case one of the horses was sick or lame or whatever.
Right.
And I brought the spare horse up to the nights.
Right.
But I was very close to all the nights, and they absolutely loved it. It was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, I bet.
I used to have to deal with all the costumes of the nights, obviously, and the horses.
Yeah.
I used to have to take them to the laundrette and get them washed.
And they don't tell you about that when you're working at Castle. They just, you all think glitz and glamour, but no, I'm cleaning the night's under things. Yes. Wonderful.
Quite right.
I bet that was quite an experience, though, to see all of that in one place. Brilliant.
Fabulous. I loved it to pieces.
No, I bet you did. So, with regards, I'm sorry to take you back to your husband, but I have to ask because I'm just wondering how are you managing to cope? Because a lot of people obviously will be asking about him, but how are you doing?
Very tired, very worn out, physically and mentally.
Sure. What are they saying though as a prognosis? I mean, have they given him any kind of timeline or?
Well, they've said 7 to 10 years after the chemo.
Brilliant.
But,
that's something. How old is he now?
He's 63.
Blimey, that's still no age nowadays, is it?
Exactly. No, it isn't. And I'm a couple of years younger than him.
Right. Oh my goodness. Hey, but the bottom line is if they can get rid of as much as possible.
Oh, yes.
And you got to remember 7 to 10 years is their guess, because that's all it is in real terms. Mm-hmm. And they could be guessing wrong. And I'm sure he's got a fight, and he'll keep going as long as he can.
Yeah, he's a fighter. He's an ex-rugby player, Alan.
Oh, blimey. Well, this will be worse than any scrum he's ever been in, but he'll battle through it, I'm sure. Oh, what a damn shame.
Will.
So how many chemos has he had so far then? And how many is he getting?
He's done 4 weeks up to now. He was supposed to start last week, but unfortunately he had an infection, so he couldn't go back.
Right.
He starts again on Tuesday this week.
And how many more has he got?
He chemo up till October.
Oh, blimey. And you say that you're worn. Hell's teeth, he must be worn too to put up with that, because that takes it all out of you.
Unfortunately, I'm having to do everything for him.
Sure.
And I'm having to take him to the hospital, come home, and then go back and pick him up.
Right.
And, I mean, I've got type 1 diabetes as well.
Oh, my goodness.
I've had it for 60 years, so I've got complications as well.
Right.
And it's really hard. It really is, Alan.
I bet. And funnily enough, having the whole lockdown thing actually makes it even harder for you, because
yes, definitely.
Doing little things is difficult, you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. I'm absolutely worn out all the time.
Yeah, but
I just want to sleep the whole day.
Well, I tell you, one day warn him and put a load of stuff next to his bed and say, you're on your own today, kid. I'm going to get my head down and... let's hope he gets to the point with the chemo that he begins to feel better, so that he's able to give you a little bit of a break, because you need one. Though.
Yeah.
Got to think about you too, because if you're not there, what the hell's he going to do? That's the thing.
He does, Alan. He really does think about me, and that's one thing I'm really grateful for.
You're lucky to have him. Hey, look after him as best you can, Don, but look after yourself too, sweetheart. All right.
I will, Alan. Thank you.
Good talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Give me love.
Thank you for your support.
Not a problem. Bye bye. Oh, damn! You feel so useless, don't you, under those kind of circumstances? 01914 883 3188. Now, songs about your sore bits. I don't mean serious sore bits, just mean fun sore bits. I'd walk a million miles if I didn't have pails. We're getting in. Brilliant. The Chest of My Love. Mm-hmm. A classic Lindisfarne tune. Sore Feet, Me on the Corner. Oh, dear. And there's another one here. Zit Takes Two, baby. No, most people can manage one of them on their own. Now, a little bit earlier, I was telling you about Amy in the Space Centre and all the rest of it. She wants to tell you herself, so she's on too. Hi, Amy.
Hiya.
Hello, darling. Well, come on, brag about it, because we weren't there.
Yeah, it was back in 2007. I was on holiday with my sister and my dad.
And when they said to you, we're not going to the theme park today, we're travelling 40, 50 miles to the coast, to the Space Centre, did you put up a fight?
No, not really.
Really?
I was jumping for joy.
Oh,
Actually, 'cause
wow,
I
that's
miss all
good.
of that stuff.
Well, that's good, cool.
So,
Cool, because I know a lot of people that have said, Dad said, we're going to the Space Centre, and the kids in the back going, I could be at Disneyland here, but come on. But no, if it's your thing, that's cool. What did you make of it all then? Because the very beginning of the thing is like a park with loads of rockets in it. It's, it's amazingly odd place to visit.
yeah, that's the rocket garden. You're allowed to go around there and take photos and things.
Brilliant.
I remember we sat in a capsule and had a photo taken.
Great. I mean, when do you get a chance to ever do that kind of thing? What have they got inside that's worth going to see then?
From what I can remember, they've got an IMAX screen which shows you the history.
All right, like space travel in general on the big screen. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, there's I can't really remember.
You must have been a tiddler when you went. 2000. I'm just thinking 2007. That's obviously 13 years ago. How old were you then?
Well, I'm 26 now, so
13.
13-year-old.
My goodness, how the years go by. But was your dad kind of just crazy for it all? How did he enjoy it?
Oh, he loved it. He kept it a secret from us.
Right.
We just thought we were going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But then we went to
Space Centre.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, yeah, you're right. And then, of course, every time you see a launch and they're going, okay, are you right? 10, 9. You look at it and you go, I've been there.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly,
true.
yeah.
It's fantastic. Tremendous. That's really good. And so then, presumably the rest of the holiday you made him pay by making him take you to all the ride parks and all the daftness.
Yeah, definitely.
Good
we
girl.
did.
That's
we went to every single park, apart from the water park.
right.
But we went everywhere else, and it was the most amazing holiday I've been on.
Fantastic. This is the thing where a lot of people say that when you go to that particular holiday, it spoils every other holiday that you have because you're thinking, well, if I was there, I could have been doing this now or that now, because there's so much for you. You cannot even see it in a fortnight or 3 weeks if you're lucky enough to have that kind of time there. So I know, but if you've been to the Space Centre, which is one of the bucket list things that loads of people want to go and do. So hey, well done, fantastic. So this thing about the launch, you mentioned that you discovered there's going to be a launch, but the next day, and you're thinking, oh, we're gonna. Did he want to come back, your dad? Did he want to go back? Or?
Oh, my dad wanted to go. He was absolutely devastated because I think we'd found out while we were on the tour of the place.
And if he'd have
he
known
was
he'd
like-
have took you that day, he'd have just waited a day and took you the following day.
Yeah, he would have done.
Yeah, it's great because I can remember one of my friends said I went to the he didn't know that there was going to be a launch that day, and it was the space shuttle doing something, going up to the space station or whatever, and this was probably about 10 years ago, and he said that he drove to the space park at about 9:20 in the morning, and he looked at it and he said, "Do you know, I've driven all this way, but I don't fancy it. I'd rather go to Universal or one of the other parks." So they turned around, came away, and then that night they went back to their hotel about 8 o'clock at night, put the telly on, and there was the launch from the centre, and everybody cheering, and it was his chance to see, obviously, one of the launches, and he missed it as well. So I'd love to find out if anybody actually got a chance to see one, because I've heard that it's amazing, but I can only imagine. Anything else, then, Amy?
Just when we were walking through the flight centre, it's been in quite a few films.
Yeah.
I can't remember all of them, but the one that really sticks out is Space Camp, and that's one of my favourite films.
Right, and that makes it even better if it's one of your faves as well. No,
Yeah, it was just I was walking through there, and it was like, oh my god, I am on a film set.
Absolutely. But on top of that, they used some of the... There's another film, you may not have seen it because it's an old one, but if you ever see it on telly, make sure that you watch it, because part of it, not all of it, but part of it was filmed at the Space Centre, and it's a movie called Space Cowboys, and it stars Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland, James Garner, some big stars from the past. But it's a really good film, Space Cowboys. And if you're into all of that, you get a kick out of it anyway.
Oh, I'll definitely give that a watch.
Just check it out. Amy, thank you very much for coming on. Lovely to talk to you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye. There you go. Isn't she lovely? She's been to Space Centre for everybody that hasn't. Grumph. Maria Ashington. It's her birthday today, you know. Happy birthday, Maria.
Thank you very much, Alan.
You're welcome, sweetie. What can we do for you tonight?
I've obviously had a lovely birthday with my two beautiful daughters, called Sophia and Olivia. It's been Father's Day. I made my dad dinner.
Right. Oh, blimey. Imagine you're going to... It's Father... Of course it's Father's Day on your birthday.
Yes.
So who took precedence then? Did you get top billing or was it him?
It was both of us.
Right. Oh, that's nice. That's good. Good if you can do it.
Naturally, I was supposed to be doing the Great North Run this year, but I mean, it's obviously been cancelled due to circumstances.
Yeah, damn it.
So it's a bit of a downer because all my risks I was supposed to be doing are all virtual ones this year.
Right. And it's nice that you keep going, but it's not the same.
It's not.
Everybody feels the same way about it. I was hoping that by some miracle, by the time September came around, that there'd be a chance that it would still be on, but I've heard nothing from them, so I presume that's not going to happen.
I mean, you can probably see where everyone was coming from, because I mean, they were getting really annoyed. Nothing was announced, obviously.
Yeah.
We all knew it was going to be off, but it was like, people need to know, especially if they're travelling from Australia or America.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
people need to know.
I know that the price, this is not fair, but the prices of hotels just seem to rocket that weekend for some strange... Well, we normally charge you this, but tonight, I'm sorry, it's going to be... Woo! So you've got to book in advance as best you can to get some kind of deal, no question about it.
Definitely.
But no, I'm going to miss it. I've been involved with it for so many years. To have a year without it just seems wrong.
It does, I mean,
It's just wrong. And the thing is, at the present moment, I'm jogging, and I hate jogging. You must be a runner of some kind, but
yeah, I'm a runner.
I'm a lousy jogger. I've tried every other way to lose weight and change the shape that I have, which is my father's shape, and started jogging. And I've got various hills near where I live that I've been running up and well, walking. And I want to get to the stage where you just run and then you stop running, but I'm not quite there yet, but I'm trying like mad. Have you got any tips?
I was having this conversation with my mum. I said, it doesn't matter whether you're running 2 miles an hour or whatever, you're getting out there and it's good for you. Whether you do the Great North Run in 3 hours or an hour and a half, you've done it and it's make yourself feel proud.
Right. Well, I tell you, after I've lain on the floor for about 10 minutes, wheezing, then after that I can feel a little bit proud.
Okay.
Just a little bit proud. But we'll get there. We'll get there together.
Exactly.
Anything else, then, Maria?
I mean, I was going to run for Make-A-Wish this year because this is like it's really close to my heart. So, like, I know a few children have got like life conditions, but
Right.
I've got my place for next year, and it's going to make us more determined to run more and run for 3 very special children that sadly died at a young age.
Oh, my goodness. There's nothing worse for a family to deal with. Oh, no.
Nothing worse.
Awful. Hey, Maria, thank you for your kindness, and I'm sure you'll do them proud. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, now, Alan.
Take care, sweetheart. Bye-bye. Another lovely hour. We've got lovely people tonight. Lovely. And then came Jan from Gateshead. Hi, Jan.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Thank you, John. I'm not that bad.
I know. We'll cope. We'll cope with you. But apparently you were on the telly. What were you on the telly for then?
Right, I was living in Springwell Estate.
Right.
It doesn't matter where anybody comes from. You can do anything you want in a job.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I went to college, Newcastle College, chefing. And I was mucking about doing trying to experiment really on a cheesecake to do without eggs, right? And it took us 2 years to get it.
2 years.
2 years to get it right, guys. But I was doing all my college work as well and cooking. I was just when I had time, I was just mucking about with
I
it,
understand because you had the lab or you had the kitchen and you could get stuck in. I say that.
Right, and kids were young.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to try and better for my kids, better me, to give my kids a better life.
Yeah, give them an egg-free
follow me.
cheesecake. That'll change them.
Right. Right.
Definitely.
So anyways, went for interviews, done everything I can, went before the Baltic opened, showed them all the qualifications because I had done all my chefing, right?
Right.
Went to the Baltic, and then they said doing a documentary because you know, like how the Baltic has with the council, they'll get the franchise when they take so many people on and
Right.
get their lives better, like
Sure.
of income support or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, and also the building has an old history of all kinds of from the mill and all the rest of it. So yeah, I can imagine them doing a documentary. And you were in this all the way through, then, were you?
Yeah, I was.
Wow. Were you playing to the camera?
Well, I was younger, but I wasn't. I was more confident because you know, like the district council.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you do like your confidence booster and all that. We're doing all that training.
Right.
So my confidence went up. So it's people. I'm not a confident person, and I'm not lying to you, right? But I acted.
Fabulous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they tell you do this, do that, and you go through the motions or whatever they wanted you to do.
So anyways, I done that.
Yeah.
And then I was doing cheesecakes in the Baltic at the rooftop. then they were putting us in doing the quail eggs. They were teaching us that way.
Wow.
I didn't know. Do you know posh people?
Yeah. What about posh people?
Really posh people.
Uh-huh.
You know when they eat.
Mm.
I don't really watch them eat, but you know when they do, like they eat.
Yeah.
They taste it in the mouth and then they just put it in the bucket.
What?
I didn't know that.
When they eat, when they're tasting something, you mean like the wine people do when they gargle it about and spit it in the bucket, which seems a
They
waste.
do it and then they just go douche.
Because
in the bin.
there's no, but I mean, you can be as posh as you like. There's no classy way of hockling in a bin, is there really?
Nah. But I'm just saying, like, they taste it and then they put it in the bin.
Yeah, I mean, they hate the cheek. That's my cheesecake. How? You should have told them. If you're going to try it, at least have
it
the...
wasn't cheesecake. It was proper meal.
Oh, you did a proper meal for them, I
The
see.
main meal.
So they were just tasting it rather than just eating it.
No, there were some people, not all of them don't do that. Some people do.
Right.
But not all of them.
Right.
So I was doing this documentary. I know you're laughing.
Yeah, I just imagine Gordon Ramsay saying, well, when I cook people's meals, sometimes they just spit it in a bucket, but it's just because they're tasting it. They're just tasting it. Yeah, I believe
Some
you.
of them, really posh people do that.
All right. I don't know that many really, really posh people, though, you see, so you've probably seen
No,
more.
there were, but I went to the rooftop.
Right, well, you were there with the hoi polloi. I know, I can tell. That's the difference. Brilliant.
But anyways, they done the documentary all day,
Uh-huh.
and then they put it on the telly.
Fantastic.
And there was artists and all they were doing about artists when
Wait.
they were doing their art.
Yeah, because there's a gallery in the in there anyway, isn't there? Right, I understand.
And then Super Granite came out.
Super Gran.
Yeah, can you remember that?
Of course, I remember Super Gran. It was fantastic.
Was the best thing on telly when I was a youngin'.
And also, they had Billy Connolly singing the theme tune. I seem to remember.
Aye.
He was the guy doing it. So, were you in that or what?
Nah.
No, but
Wasn't in it.
you
It's
just been.
when I go visiting, before like all this corona and all that, normally I either go to Whitley Bay, Plymouth, and South Shields and that.
No, absolutely. Well,
It's nice to go there, isn't it?
it's the law that you've got to walk between. If you go to Tynemouth, you've got to walk to Whitley Bay past Cullercoats and vice versa. That's just how it is. But no, you're quite right. It was filmed all over that part of the world. The thing was, it was really funny, but you could. When you watch Supergran, whenever she jumped from the ground up to the top of a building or the top of a tower, you could always tell that it was just somebody jumping backwards out of the tower, that they'd filmed the other way, if you know what I mean. They played it the other way. But we still loved it because it was cool. Absolutely. Yeah.
Nobody forgets Supergram, man.
No, impossible.
Nah.
Impossible. An absolute
Good.
classic.
Right, I'm going to go, and I'm done.
Well, about time.
Right?
If anybody
Next
needed
one
getting
will come
done, it was you, Jan. Thank you for coming on.
Right, night,
Night,
See
love.
you later.
Bless you.
Right.
Bye-bye. And she great. Tell you. Bit of Supergran doesn't hurt, does it? Can you remember? What other things do you remember? The shows made around. Obviously, we've got Vera kicking at the present moment. Be interesting to have your views on that. We're going to play a little piece of music next and a word with a star. And then we've got Craig from Darlington coming up after that. Toto, huge band, yet people don't interview them. I don't know anybody else who's ever interviewed Toto out of all the people that do like this kind of stuff. So I did. I got Steve, the guitarist, talking about stuff.
I saw myself in the mirror once. I have seen some really weird things, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I do believe that there is more to this world than this world.
Right.
I've had some strange experience. I've seen alien spacecrafts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I live in Hollywood, up in the Hollywood Hills, and I've seen some very strange things in the skies that are very unexplainable.
Right.
I have my sister's a professional psychic.
Right.
Which can be sometimes pretty scary because she draws from another worldly place, and she's got about a 98 percentile. It's pretty right on. Sometimes I hear things I don't want to know, and they do come true. But come on, we're in this life, and if you've ever seen a child be born, you realize that there are miracles that occur every day that are very much right in front of your face.
Right.
I believe that there is something beyond this flesh and blood life. It doesn't make sense any other way. But I guess we won't know until we get there. I've felt the presence of other things. I haven't seen Casper the Friendly Ghost, if that's what you're asking. But, although she left my hotel room once a long time ago.
Okay, next thing is, what's been your highlight and low light, your best bit and your worst bit in the game so far?
Well, having my first hit record, when I was 19 years old, I mean, that's the dream. You practice as a kid, you play in a million bands, you played your high school dance and all that stuff. All of a sudden, you get a record deal, and it's on the radio, and you get a gold record, and you're like, wow, this is living the dream. And then I suppose after that, getting to play with all the heroes that inspired you to start playing in the first place, and I'm fortunate enough to be one of the few guys that can say that I pretty much play with almost all my heroes.
Fantastic.
And that was a trip. That's very surreal. When you're in a room sitting on a piano bench and Elton John sitting next to you, go, play Levon for me, and he does, and there's nobody else in the room but me. And I was 20 years old when that happened.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Miles Davis asking me to join his band. I mean, I couldn't do it, unfortunately. But, I'm living the dream. I'm still living it. I'm traveling the world playing music, and I'm very fortunate and very honored and thankful for that.
voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest hits radio.
And thank you again for maintaining your watching wherever you happen to be on planet Earth, Facebook, or on YouTube, or wherever you happen to be. Thank you for being there all the same. Make sure you let us know where you are so we can give you a mention. Sophia Ballantyne says, how do people end relationships during lockdown? She's just asked her partner for a break. She thinks she's fairly sure it's going to end. It's just, how do you make it happen? Because there's no hostels, there's no sheltered housing. It's not even a travel lodge you can go to at the present moment because everywhere's different. And the lockdown literally just easing. So what can you do? How do you do it? Or do you have a word with your partner and say, would you go back to your mum's? Or would you go back to your dad's? I just need some space. Do you do it that way? Or do you go back to your mum? It is a nightmare. Very difficult thing. She's absolutely right. We also have Avril Hodgson, who wants to say to Danielle goes back to work tomorrow and she's finding it a bit daunting. You've done it before. You will do it again and it'll be fine. It'll be the same for everybody else that's going back. So just take it one step at a time. You'll be all right. Maria Marchetti Bell just wishes us all to wish her a happy birthday. All the best, Maria. Jane Kitto, from Perfect Blue Sky. They're currently down in Cornwall doing their thing. Hey, good luck. I hope it's going well for you. Philip Bailey says, was Twitter right to ban Katie Hopkins? What do you think? Or do you care? And Judy Pollard, you know, we asked you places where you've been where film or TV's happened. Judy Pollard, she can probably trump most of us. She went to the plantation where they filmed the TV series North and South. She went to visit Forrest Gump's bench, the box of chocolates bit. Mm-hmm. And she also took a road trip up Walton's Mountain. For those of you old enough to remember a TV show called The Waltons. Good night, John Boy. Yeah. So what have you done? I'm also going to give you 4 clues. Now, we've got a competition now that is heinously difficult, and I intend to make tonight's as difficult as any of them. It's a big hit song, top 10 hit song across the world. And we're Greatest Hits Radio, so therefore we need to have an answer that is a greatest hit. So I'm going to give you 4 clues. They're 4 words that appear in the hit song. Just 4 words. And you've got to work out the name of the song and the artist from 4 words. Okay? 4 words. The first word is the answer to this puzzle. Take the U's, the G, and the H out of donut. What's left? Take the U's, the G, and the H out of donut. What's left? That's your first word clue. Write it down, put it to the other 3, and then if you're a genius, you will work out the answer, okay? Take the U's, take both U's, the G, and the H out of donut. What's left? That's your first clue. Let's crack on. We said Darlington. Craig is there. Hi, Craig.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, mate. What can we do for you?
Well, with all the running events that I cancelled,
yeah,
like the Great North Run and stuff like that,
right,
I decided to set myself a little running challenge to raise some money for a local hospice.
Excellent. So what did you do?
I ran 1.5 miles every hour for 24 hours, midnight to midnight.
Wow.
And I did that yesterday.
Hell's bells. And where? I mean, literally around the house, around the estate? How did you do it?
Literally down a couple of streets and then back round. So I ran 3/4 of a mile, then looped back round.
Oh, I see. So every 2-3/4 of a mile, you've done 1.5 miles, and that's how you work it out. That's clever. No, that's good. Good on you. I mean, did your neighbours think you were just mad?
I think so, but everyone who knows me knows I'm mad already.
There he goes again, Mabel.
Oh, what's he doing this time? I'm sure he got the milk last time.
Oh, yeah, if you pass any shops, bring the bread back when you come, I can imagine. I can
I'm sure
imagine.
the
Hey,
police thought it must have been weird as well.
no, but it's brilliant. Congratulations. So how much did you manage to raise for them?
So far, we've managed to raise £670.
Fabulous. I mean, when you think about it, it's keeping yourself fit. It's giving you something to do. And on top of that, you've raised all of that money for charity. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Well done.
It wasn't the easiest thing I've ever done, I'm not going to lie. It sounds easy on paper, but
No.
when you get 12 hours in with no sleep, it gets a little bit difficult.
And I would imagine when you stop, that's when everything starts to seize up, I would have thought, if you've been pushing it that hard.
Sitting down wasn't... sitting down was the enemy there.
Yeah, did you get cramp?
Yeah, I got cramp more than once.
Yeah, that's just the nastiest thing. I remember nearly breaking my foot because, you know when you get cramp and you just straighten your leg and you don't care if there's anything in the way? I hit a metal table once. Oh, it was just so completely wrong. But you can't help it. Then you've got to stand up and try and put it right. Awful.
Yeah, and then your toes do the curling thing as well.
Pull them back to the body. Back to the body. Yeah, been through it. Nasty damn thing. Hey, but good news. Congratulations. Which hospice was it for?
It was for St. Teresa's in Darlington.
St. Teresa's. Brilliant. Fabulous. I bet they're absolutely thrilled with you. Well done. Anything else then, Craig?
I would just like to give a big mention to Yvonne from St. Teresa's for basically getting the word out on what I'm doing and raising as much money as possible. Without her help, I wouldn't have. She was the pushy mum in all this and going, look what he's doing, everyone, sponsoring.
No, but without the pushy mum or the pushy person, you don't get the result. That's the thing, because there's so many different causes that are well worth supporting at the moment. I understand that.
Yeah.
Hey, but well done. Congratulations to the pair of you. Thanks, Craig.
No worries. Take care.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Hey, about that. And yeah, there is a price to pay. As somebody who is, and I've never been a jogger, and I've always hated like long distance cross country running, kind of, even since school, hated it. But I've got to do it now, and it's a daily thing, and there's mountains to be climbed. But oh, blimey, you do an half pay. And it's you wake up, it's the back today. It's the knee. The knee's gone. And for those of you watching on screen, it's in me bag. I've just taken my knee brace off. You know, one of those Velcro things. Yeah. Oh, just to get a bit of peace. Because knee braces are all right, but if you've worn them for a few hours, it really starts to knack a bit. Anyway, let's crack on. 01914 488 3188. There is a million things to do and a lot of people to talk to. Now we've got a Raquel from Ballydangan in Ireland. Hello, Raquel.
Hi, Alan. How you doing?
Hello. Good to talk to you. How long have you been over there with the wearers of the green?
I've been listening to your show now since I was just saying to the guy there because I was 13. My family moved to Cromlington back in the 80s.
Right,
And from Ireland. And, I was very homesick and lonely at that age, starting a new school and had no friends, knew nobody. And I found your show.
Hey, that's great.
It kept me kind of, when you couldn't sleep at night and when, the nerves of school and all that. And the show just kept me going. And I'd listen to you all night, every night. And then I eventually found my way back to Ireland in 1995.
Right.
And the opposite happened. Even though I was a little bit older, I was back not knowing anybody. So I was like, that's it. I have to get Alan's show.
Hey.
It's the only thing to make me feel a bit more. I was so homesick. So yes, I've been listening to you for a very long time.
Well,
late 40s now at this stage. So.
That's great. Well, you're liking life there? Things good? I mean, what's the stage with lockdown in Ireland at the moment?
Oh, jeez, Alan. Sorry. I live alone, so when this whole thing happened, I was like, oh, good God. I couldn't, you can't do anything, go anywhere, see anybody. So it was a bit, and plus my parents still live in Blythe, so it was just, I just didn't see anybody. But we're on phase 3 now, so all retail is open. People are going back to, I've always gone back to work.
What about pubs? Are pubs open?
No. They're opening on the 20th of July.
Oh, right, because the pubs here are opening on the 4th of July. So I don't know whether we're just more desperate for a drink, but I was going to say, that just sounds wrong when we're talking about the Irish.
It absolutely does. the moment are the ones at restaurants. If you have a restaurant, you can open. So that happened a couple of weeks ago, and I swear to God, like queues. Some of the queues for Primark, but the queues for the pub to take away pints.
Well, you see, I was told by Chris, who's working the phones, who you spoke to before you got through to me, and he was out in Allenmouth, and if you know Blythe, you'll probably know Allenmouth, just a little bit further up the coast. He was out in Allenmouth at the Schooner Inn, and the Schooner opened to serve drinks, so you could go into the pub, buy a drink in a plastic glass or a plastic pot, and you could take it out and sit on the grass. And apparently thousands of people were lying all over the place with plastic glasses full of beer. I'm sure it's not quite the same. And I don't know about you, but you don't enjoy a drink out of plastic. Not even at the best of times.
Yeah, that's festival. That's hardcore festival.
Absolutely, just so people can't glass each other. But so you understand the reasons why. But no, the sooner we get back, and we're hearing about the 2 meters coming down to a meter. That's across a table, isn't it? So hopefully pubs and restaurants will get back.
They'll get back. I mean, they are opening. I mean, we're doing well. As in, there's lots of debates as to whether we shouldn't have locked down, but we're doing quite well. The numbers have dropped. The death rate is is dropping, and so it's true. But it's just trying to get back to the normal. I mean, obviously, it's very unusual for us. I think even in England and in Ireland, people wearing masks. And that's not a normal. We're not used to that.
No, nobody is really.
Yeah. So people feel like when you wear it, it's not a forced thing, but there's a big campaign here. It's kind of really strongly recommending you wear it on public transport and in shops and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's saying, please wear it. Again, some adhere, some don't, but it's just very unusual. You feel really weird, that you've got this mask on, and it's just hard. And even like meeting people, like I feel weird that you can't hug anybody or shake a hand, or it's all of these things. People actually like constantly avoiding you. You kind of look at them, you into a shop and down an aisle and go, just running away.
And I bet loads of times people have gone either shake your hand or give you a hug, and then they kind of go, whoa. Because I'm a natural hugger, and I've missed it real bad. I'm a handshaker, I'm a hugger. I can't help it. It's just the nature of the beast. But
I'm the same.
What do you do?
And it's really, really unusual. Even like I had my brother. He lives here. He lives a lot further away from me, because we can't go outside our county at the moment.
Right.
We can travel 20 kilometres, and we can travel anywhere in our county.
But who monitors it? I mean, are the police out saying, "Hang on, you've done 21 mile"?
No, they were in the early stages. They were doing a lot of checkpoints in the early stages.
Checkpoints. That's the last thing you want to hear in Ireland, isn't it? Checkpoints.
They do lots of them, and they were stopping. I got stopped a couple of times. Where are you going? Tesco's. Okay, where are you coming from? But there was no, so we're checking the earliest. Now they've stopped. So, but my brother lives so far. He lives far away, but he was obsessed. He said to me, "If you are allowed to come down now, you can't come in. You're not sitting in the garden." I'm like, Jesus, you're my brother. I'm so sorry. He was so obsessed with catching it.
Crazy. I mean, we've all ended up doing a lot of stuff that none of us particularly really wanted to do, but we've done what they've told us, and whether that's proven to be the right thing or the wrong thing, only time's going to really tell. But fingers crossed, all's well. With respect to you, in the Midlands of Ireland, the little bit, I remember when I did. Are you anywhere near Tullamore?
Yes, I am not that far from Tullamore. I'm up kind of around Athlone, Ballinasloe, which is about from here to Tullamore, maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, that's a dog. Because we did a castle in Tullamore with Scariest Places on Earth. We did a couple of radio shows from there as well. A very, very spooky place right in the centre. And the thing that fascinated me more was, first of all, there was ley lines crossing each other, like noughts and crosses, which is always cool, because the hair does actually go up on the back of your hand when you put your hand on it. It's the oddest thing in the world. So you kind of go, and also it's surrounded by fairy trees. Now, in Britain, fairy trees. No, we don't understand the fairy tree. But in Ireland, people, even to the degree of people with change the direction of a motorway rather than disturb one, which is amazing. What were you told about them when you first got there? I mean, because you wouldn't know the whole weight of what a fairy tree was and why you shouldn't disturb it.
No.
What did they tell you about it then?
They don't really, not really much. It is known that any of those types of, like any of those sacred grounds, I think it was back into Celtic times, I'm sure, but not a whole lot. But it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me with the kind of Ireland, because we're quite superstitious.
No, absolutely, wonderful. So, but then on saying that, the whole Celtic thing, the last time I was over in Dublin, in Dublin's fair city, where the girls pretty. Some are. But anyway, last time I was there, I went to the university where they've got the bodies that they found in the peat.
Was that in Trinity? Was that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The part of the museum that's there, they've put the bog bodies, the bodies they found, it's kind of swallowed into the bog, and the skin's all there, the hair's still there, the fingernails. It looks literally. They're a different colour. Let's face it, they've been dead a long time. But it looks like they've literally just gone to sleep and somebody's put a bit of paint over them. It's a fascinating. So the history in the part of the world where you are is absolutely amazing. So
there's lots of great things actually. Even I'm not too far from even Clonmacnoise and all these places where there's a lot of history and a lot of folklore is a lot of it.
That's when you can go out.
Yes, and it's because obviously Ireland is quite we're tiny enough, like it's a tiny place, but where I live it's countryside, so it's just literally just endless. I wake up to at the moment I think there's 17 rabbits sitting on the grass outside.
Fantastic.
It's just wild.
Well, nature's come back as well a bit because we've left them alone for a little bit.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's
surprising, isn't it, when you're out even go for a small walk and you can see a lot of things. And it's fascinating, And I'm doing a lot more of that than I probably would have done because life is so busy, and you kind of you just get caught up in life.
Have you not just found it? Because my whole life thing slowed down with obviously we doing one night a week these days, and I'm lost. What the hell do you do today? I did some stuff yesterday. Today, I'm not sure. And you end up doing, and this is the reason why so many other people are cycling or jogging or they're just, what the hell am I going to do? I've got to do something. So. And you pick something that maybe you've never done. People are doing DIY. The bloke next door to me, he's got a portaloo in his porch. So I've got no idea what he's up to. Don't want to ask. Don't want to go there.
I decided to, when I started, I didn't tell anybody, I started to write a book.
All right.
And I was in a very bad car accident 5 years ago.
Oh, blame me. What happened?
And I was down in Killaloo, which is down near Limerick, and it's a beautiful place down there.
Uh-huh.
And on a sunny July, and a young male driver, was overtaking two cars on a bend.
Oh, whoa, right.
And if you know Irish roads, there is no such thing as a hard shoulder, and this is a country road. It was just trees. There was nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go.
Right.
So all I could do was just close my eyes and hang on to the steering wheel and hope for the best.
And you hit him head on?
Yeah. And I was trapped for a long time because the road was so narrow that obviously the traffic behind me, and I decided there was nowhere to go, so I was trying to get ambulance or whatever in. Thankfully now I was unconscious for a period of time, but I was trapped, and I broke a lot. I broke everything, like from my head to my toes. Everything was broken, and particularly my left leg, because that got trapped. That went backwards, which is terrible. Kind of went backwards under the seat, type of.
Whoa!
Because I had my foot on the clutch, you see.
Right.
So on impact, obviously the whole front of the car came in, so it went back. So that was the worst because I couldn't get a pulse in my leg, and that's where I caused most of the injury, and then lots of other stuff. So lots of things, like I've damaged my optic nerve in my eye, I've left with tinnitus. There's lots of things endless over the last number of years I'm battling with.
Were they able to rebuild you pretty much? Or
yeah, no, they were very good now, I have to say. My leg, I wear, you were talking about knee brace, I wear a brace on my leg to keep my foot straight, because my foot dropped because I've nerve damage.
Right.
So I wear a brace that kind of.
I've just been whinging about mine, but Hell's Teeth, you're the one that should be complaining about it.
Oh, it's a pain, and I was empathising there, which I was like, oh God, I get where he's coming from. It is actually a pain because it causes more pain than it does.
No, it does, and then when you take the brace off, you see all where the little holes are in the brace.
Yeah.
Your knee looks like it's got a boil on the top of it because it's been forced its way through. Ah, dear.
It's horrible.
If you've never worn a brace, try never to. If you can possibly avoid it. But no, that's all. So, I mean, your back is as well as you can ever be, or is there still work to be done?
There's a bit of work now. My prognosis would be now, and I'm looking forward to a little. I'll have to have a hip replacement, probably an ankle fusion. There's things, but I go to the Mater Clinic in Dublin for pain, the pain management clinic, because I have complex regional pain, and it's just the last time I went, obviously with the pandemic, my appointments were cancelled, but they do things like I had a ketamine infusion.
Right.
And which I wasn't experienced, so I'd never do it again. They recommend you get 3 rounds of this, and they inject ketamine into you over an hour. And
was this in a hospital or in an alley?
Yeah, in a hospital.
Right.
I began to think. I was like, "Are you sure? Not a horse tranquilizer." Like, what?
I can get this on the street corner. Blimey, back in Ballydangan.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not in Ballydangan. Fair enough. Yeah, maybe not.
So I had that, and then that's what I couldn't go back and do again. But I got a chili patch then, so I'm having another chili patch on the 14th of July, and that's pretty intense because they have to numb your whole leg, and then they have to put these chili patches. And it's so funny because the nurses, they're all gowned up, and even I have to wear glasses because the particles are so strong, and that basically burns. Well, it's like having third-degree burns. You sit there for an hour having your legs burnt, basically, and that kind of it tries to do something with the nerve endings and dampen them down. So,
hey, well, I hope the guy that rammed into you got a sentence of some kind. Surely.
You know, Alan, he didn't. The justice here was horrific. He got a year off the road and €1,000 fine.
That's nothing.
It was absolutely.
And he's overtaken 2 cars on a bend on a country road. That's just suicidal.
Test driving his Celica, so he said in court.
Test driving.
Yeah. And I went to court. Now, the court happened to be down in Killaloo, and this was after, it was about maybe 18 months after the accident. I had to go there, and couldn't drive, and I had no one to bring me. It took me 10 hours. Now, Ireland's a tiny country, but it took me 10 hours to get there because I had to get from where I am to Dublin, from Dublin to Limerick, Limerick Junction to Bird Hill to Killaloo. So it took me all that time to get there. And
he
it
got
was just
that.
so poor, yeah. And that's what he got. And I just thought...
Do you know, it's whenever I watch these blasted television programs that I'm not obsessed about watching, but if I switch one on, I'll stay with it. And it's these like police arresting, live police, intercepting police with stuff on like a camera on the. I kind of get sucked in by these things. And at the end of it, you'll see some punk kid who frankly deserves to be put through a mincer and destroyed because they're going to create misery their whole lives, and you know it. And they say, well, he was driving at 154 mile an hour, but he hasn't got a driving licence, so he gets a suspended sentence, 3 points on the licence that he hasn't got. And you think, what? Why bother chasing these people if that's all they're going to get? There was one kid that this is a soapbox issue, I apologise, Raquel, but there was this kid, and he tried to kick his way into a man's house, and the man's wife was pregnant, and this punk kid was saying, he knew that the man was still in his house, but he was kicking the door in saying, I'm going to come in, and if I get in there, I'm going to kill you, get your money, put your money through the letterbox, and all this kind of stuff going on. So it was this threat to life of a man and his pregnant wife. Yeah. And they say, he was arrested, he's been arrested before, he got a caution. And you think, what's somebody got to do to go to prison these days? You
can't do it. And for me, which was probably devastating for me, was he only literally insured his car that morning. And I ended up, I lost everything. I lost my home, I lost my job, I lost everything because I couldn't work. I went from having a really good job and a good salary to getting €170 a week.
Jeepers.
That I was meant to live on, and I was meant to pay my medical bills. And only for my mother and my father, and their pensioners, only for them. Only for them. I did have to end up selling my house and stuff, but they and to this day still do, but bailed me out and made sure that everything was looked after and paid for. But it's all the aftermath that nobody sees. And, the government, I wrote to Taoiseach here, and I didn't even get thank you very much for your email, to say there must be something for victims of an accident who are left like that, who have got nothing, and there's nothing. There's no help to no one. Everybody just turns their back like, no, we don't want to. But you can go on illness benefit. And I've never been unemployed, but that's what you end up doing, going on illness benefit and trying to live. The darkest days of your life are spent, and it's not even just the injuries. The darkest days are you as a human. You feel like you're worthless after everything you've done. And
awful.
That was the hard thing. That was the hard thing. And he's probably back driving now. And
that's crazy. Crazy. Just plain
Imagine.
wrong, Raquel. Plain wrong.
Hey, I'm alive, Alan. I'm alive.
Thank heavens. Stay that way. Stay well. Hey, lovely talking to you, Raquel. Thank you for coming on so much.
No worries.
All the best.
It's been a pleasure, and I say I keep on listening, and thanks so much, and I'm delighted you're back now. And
thank you, love. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Take care, Alan. See you. Bye.
It's amazing. She lovely. Say we had some amazing people on. We're going to hear from beautiful South very soon, but before that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're talking to Debbie from Blythe.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, who do you think is the greatest American artist of all time? What are the greatest hits from those American artists? Because you can have your say now on the Greatest Hits website and help us compile the top 200 born in the USA. And we'll count them down on the 4th of July, American Independence Day, on Greatest Hits Radio. It's just something for you to watch out for. Cash register still kicking, and the Hits Live Fest. An afternoon of live performances on Saturday. Blondie, Bowie, Queen, loads more. All part of Greatest Hits stage at the Hits Live Festival. Janice Long is on Listen Again if you want to check her out, see what you may have missed. Mentioned Beautiful South. I was talking to the band and I asked them about, well, growing up and getting into the business, and this is what they had to say.
I'll start with you, Paul. Where were you brought up? Where were you born?
A bit of a mixture. It's a bit boring to tell you the full details, but I was born in Liverpool.
Right.
Brought up in Sheffield, moved down to Surrey, and then moved to Hull when I was 21.
Right, okay. So where do you consider home, though, out of that
Hull
lot?
now, really,
Hull.
because even in Sheffield, I moved about houses a lot. I moved about districts, so I didn't really sort of have a part of Sheffield that would call me on.
What was Hull like? Were you posh? Were you poor?
Hull? Well, when I moved to Hull, I sort of moved just straight onto the Dole, really.
Right.
And it's not a posh street. There's quite a few students on the street.
Right.
It's a mixed area, really. But
Right. Was it
terraced
Grafton
house,
Street?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Because just somebody tonight said, who are you getting Paul in? I used to live just up there. Everybody, you find as soon as you get any kind of notoriety, everybody lived next door to you, went out with you, knew your mother, and it's that kind of thing, the North, isn't it?
Yeah,
His mum's a bit like that.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's true though. It's the same with like House Martins. Everybody I know bought the first single, Flag Day.
Right.
Everybody says, yeah, I bought that, but it got to number 121 in the charts, so somebody's lying.
Well, they probably bought it off each
They all
other.
club together.
Yeah.
You don't think they bought it off each other? One got it and
Perhaps,
thought, well,
yeah.
go on, you know.
Could be, yeah.
He's been to Alnwick, Durham Cathedral, the Harry Potter studio tour over the years, and she says, I cry every time I go to London. It's leaving the northeast. I cry every time I do that. And a couple of quick texts and tweets and stuff. Hello, says Alex. The year is 1976. I played Disco Inferno by Tramps earlier. I was 16 and met the first great love of my life at the local disco where they played all of these songs. Brings back such wonderful memories. And also, songs about sore bits. How about Eczema, read all about it. Oh, dear me. I'm your virus, I'm your fire. Oh, don't talk about viruses at the moment. Chilling You softly with his song. Got a few of them. The New Kidneys on the Block. Kylie Minogue. And the best part of your body song so far, In Your Navel. Brilliant. Love it. The Village People. Now, I'm going to dive across to Debbie because she's in Blythe. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
Hello, sweetheart. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, Alan. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you kindly. What can I do for you?
Right. I spoke to you 24 years ago. I used to live next to us.
All right.
But what I was wanting to talk to you tonight is about, you were talking about people being on TV and things like that.
That's right. Uh-huh.
I used to go to the Tube regularly every week back in the early to mid-80s.
Uh-huh.
And I've got myself on a couple of videos.
Oh, great.
And
who was on the days you were there?
I met Depeche Mode.
Great, that's
and I wrote to his girlfriend at the time. We were really good pen friends.
Uh-huh.
I met OMD.
Right. Uh-huh.
And I looked after Paul Humphries' wife in the audience. And also, who else? All the Thompson twins. I remember sitting outside Studio 5 for ages with a couple of friends, and we just asked, are you with the Thompson twins? And somebody came along and said, yes, I run the fan club.
Brilliant.
And they came along after about 5 minutes, and they bought all a cup of coffee and signed T-shirts for us.
Isn't that brilliant?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
It was funny because around that time, you know yourself that they used to, I think it was Studio 6, they used to call the Egypt Cottage. Are you going to Studio 6?
Egypt Cottage, yes. I used to go to the Rose and Crown over the road as well.
Because you can guarantee.
Depeche Mode in there.
I was going to say there'd be a TV, especially on a Friday, on a Tube day, there'd be people in one or the other of them because they were the nearest two bars to the studios. No, happy days.
Yeah.
I appeared in it.
Amazing.
I was lucky enough to be on a couple of Tubes just as a guest, not hosting or anything.
It was one of my friends.
Fantastic.
Used to know one of the producers. Oh God, I can't remember his name now.
Right.
But she got with basically things to go through and just go to the green room and everything.
Oh, that's fantastic.
At the time.
Yeah.
Thompson twins, I got to know them very well. I got to get autographs off Soft Cell, and I even got a signed album from Susie and the Banshees when Robert Smith
was still in a band. Oh, brilliant!
Still in.
Yeah. You see, you're a friend of the stars, Debbie. Friend of the stars.
God, yes. Oh, definitely.
It's true. But you see, when we had a TV show based in the Northeast that was essentially the Northeast version of more the old Grey Whistle Test rather than Top of the Pops, because it always had much more gravitas and much more real to it than Top of the Pops ever did. But the good thing was every Friday all you had to do was hang around outside and you would see the stars. There's no question about it. That's great.
I remember being on the Christmas Eve Tube with Paula and giving her a kiss for Christmas because she was so heavily pregnant with Trixie Belle.
Right.
It just blows me mind now when I think about it.
Especially when you know what subsequently happened. Unbelievable, isn't it?
I know, it is. And I mean, I've seen Jules Holland, I've been to the City Hall to see him, and I've been back at the hotel and everything since, but it's just, it's unbelievable.
It's just you never know. When I was lucky enough, obviously doing this job, a lot of people come in to be interviewed and what have you. And, you are very, very fortunate because they'll sit down and they'll have a chat. And they'll want to have a chat rather than you, excuse me, because I'm just a fan like anybody else. But I was lucky enough to meet Paula socially with Michael Hutchence from In Excess.
Right.
When those two were together. And I thought, kind of dream couple, because she's actually real tough. She was, sadly, a really tough, really super tough lady. And I always thought... And obviously, I'm from a rock kind of background of musical choice. Yeah. But In Excess, amazing. And I always thought that Michael Hutchence was one of the most, and I wouldn't say this about men in general because people take the wrong idea, but I thought he was a genuinely beautiful looking man.
Well, I think he was as well. I totally
Just he
agree
was,
with
if you're gonna be a man and you wanted to look like somebody. He was probably the guy. There's no way many could compete. He had the body, he had the face, he had the style and the
sex symbol, wasn't he?
The whole swagger package going on. And when I met them, the two of them were really super happy. And you think, out of all of the people that would end the way that they both ended, I would never have believed it in a million years because the two of them had the world literally at their feet, and it does not comprehend. You can't get my head around that at all.
You're right.
Unbelievable. Hey, but how lucky were you? Blaming Top of the Pops below the tube belonged to you, by the way. You kind of fed off it, and I'm going to meet them all.
If you go on YouTube or just on the internet, if you put in Depeche Mode, Tora, 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 I'm the one in the audience at the front with tinsel around the hair.
I don't know whether you should be telling people all of this. Some of the street cred can disappear very quickly,
Yes, but it was about 1984.
On saying that, I remember when I was just a little pink. I was about 14, 15-year-old, and we'd been to the Newcastle Playhouse when it was there. It's not there anymore. But the Playhouse, and when we were in there, and I was too young to drink officially, but I was, as you do, sitting in the corner. As
you do.
And the older kid with the tash got the pint like they always did. The lanky kid with the tash, looking old. I'll have 3 pints, please. And but Tyrannosaurus Rex played. It was Mark Bolan and Steve Tooks sitting on the floor. They weren't even on a stage. They just played a little bit. And there were nobody at the time. It was like saying, well, never heard of them. And that's
probably much older than me.
No, and it's really peculiar that that happened. However, it occurred 2 years later. Of course, T-Rex were it, and I can remember standing in a queue where every boy, and there were mostly lads from probably about 14 up to 20, was probably the key age for most of the crowd for T-Rex. And they all had long hair. About every third one had tried to corkscrew it somehow, like Bolan did. And they all had glitter in their hair. So don't worry about that whole glittery, tinsely thing. We've all done that embarrassing thing at one time or another. Funny days. Hey, but lovely talking to you. Thank you for coming on, Debbie.
Well, that's good, but I was going to mention another thing which I was talking to Chris about.
Sure, go for it.
It was the fact that back in 94, 95, I was the youngest mayoress within Northumberland.
Wow.
That raised the second highest amount of money for charity within the UK.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah. I don't know what you might remember is because I spoke to you in 96 about a traumatic experience I went through.
What was that, love?
In Parkside.
Parkside.
I don't know if you can remember.
I don't yet, but to remind me more what happened in Parkside.
I lived at Falmouth Walk and my husband committed suicide.
Oh, blimey, yes.
Yes, can you remember?
Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah, I remember talking to you.
Oh, my goodness. I blame me.
Yes,
What
that's
a
me.
horrible,
And I'm still going strong.
horrible time.
Yes, sorry, I do. No,
Horrible time.
I'm still going strong. And I'm still...
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, blame you after all these years. That's brilliant.
Yes, I know.
Lovely to catch up with you. Thank you for coming on.
And you too. Lovely to hear.
Well, it's just great to know that you rose again. I knew you would, but blimey, it's just good to see.
Yes.
Good to see.
Always.
Good, lads. Thank you for coming on.
Something worth living for.
Always.
Thanks a lot, Alan.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh, blimey. Used to live there, in that neck of the woods. My goodness. Right. That's why I remember it so well. We've got Mad Dog McNair. And, we talked about how we had Amy earlier on telling us about an amazing dream trip to Florida, and her family kept it quiet but took her to the Space Coast and the Space Museum and Cape Kennedy, I think it is, or whatever. And her dad missed the launch the following day, which is, it's just so what we do. Missed the launch, because my mate did too. And Mad Dog says, "Hi, Alan. In 2006, I took my family to Florida for a full-on Disney 5-park experience. My youngest was 5, oldest going on to 9. Perfect age for take kids there as well. I thought, if I can go 9 hours without a cigarette, I can stop smoking. We got there and went for our car. No cars left as everyone runs to get the car. So we went back and explained. So they gave us the huge Jeep. Was awesome. By this time, almost 15 hours without smoking, and we started to drive down to International Drive, which is like the touristy strip, and our hotel. The Jeep was like a cockpit of a fighter jet with buttons and switches. So we did the main thing and pressed and played as driving. Next thing, my youngest started screaming in the back of the Jeep, turned around and only jammed her fingers in the electric windows. There was no safety on them in those days. Stopped at a garage, I got a cup of ice, and all was fine with her hand, but I bought cigarettes to help with her stress." Laughing out loud. Anyway, 25th of September 2006, went to Blizzard Beach Water Park. Great day. Got back to the hotel and the receptionist asked if we'd had a good day and did you see the launch? We all went, "What launch?" The only time I was even close to the Space Centre and I missed it. Didn't miss much because it was 7 seconds and gone into the clouds. Still, would have liked to seen it though. Mad Dog, I know. Me too. Anyway, let's crack on. We have Stanley Elvis. Hello, Elvis.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to talk to you. How are you doing these days?
Well, I'm better than I was last month. I'm still recovering at home.
Right. Oh, blame me. But
right, I'll try and keep it short.
Okay.
I wound up in hospital on the 11th of May last month and I ended up with pneumonia and I almost died.
Hell's bells. How did you catch that then?
Well, I'll start it again. To make a long story longer, I developed just a slight cold. It was the lockdown was in place at this point.
Right.
I would guess towards the end of April.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it was just slight, it'll only last a couple of days or something.
Yeah.
And I just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I thought, I'm going to have to do something here.
Did you think it was the COVID stuff? Did you think that's what it was?
Well, actually, now you mentioned that, when I was in the hospital, they took 2 tests for the COVID. The first one was positive, but the second one was negative. So I can't fully understand that.
Right.
But prior to going to the hospital, and all joking, and this time I'm really not over exaggerating, my breathing was so bad. If I hadn't gone to the hospital that day, if I'd left it another few hours, I would have been dead. No two ways about it.
My goodness, terrifying.
So I'm a lucky lad, and I remember my sister had pneumonia some years back, and pneumonia is just a fancy word, a chest infection. But I didn't know that pneumonia there was different degrees of it.
Right.
And mine was pretty bad. Like I say, it almost cost us my life. But like I say, my sister had some years that when my nephews were little. And they're in the 20s now, and it took my sister 3 months to recover. I dare say within 5 or 6 weeks, I'm back to near normal now.
Right.
But I still find it a little difficult walking uphill. I can cycle up a hill now.
Right.
Now, wait, I don't mean this moment in time. But since coming out of the hospital, I can cycle up a hill easy. I can walk.
Right.
And I'm not kidding. My lungs took a real battle on me.
No, it sounds like pneumonia is a horrible thing. That's talk about things that can cost people their lives. Pneumonia is a killer, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we're glad you're back.
Nobody knows what's around the corner.
No, that is absolutely true. That is 100% well said.
Yeah.
Well
by
said.
the way, you want about somebody just before about that guy in America? Well, I'm not paying for it, but I'm hoping to go back to America next year.
Oh, great.
Because I'd love to visit Grace since I've never been.
Right, blame me. I hope you cannot be called Stanley Elvis without a trip to Graceland, I suppose.
No, that's true. I've got one more tale to tell you before I go.
What's that then?
Because I fell ill and almost wound up dead. Speaking of my sister, we were talking the other week, and sometimes she listens to the show online, so she might be listening late, I don't know. Anyway,
right.
It's long been suspected for many, many years. My dad, who passed on, and my sister thinks that they're absolutely convinced that I've got autism and ADHD.
Right,
And because my needs are so complex, there's a hell of a waiting list of about 3 to 4 years at least.
What? That's ridiculous.
So once I've had the succession out of the way, then I'll be able to go on the house list to move down there to be near my sister, because I'm thinking about moving away.
All right. So where is she? Where is she?
Saffron Waldron, that's it.
Saffron Waldron, okay.
Yeah. But I need to get these successions out of the way first.
Right.
Because my needs are so complex. The housing authorities down there have to go through the social services because of my medical condition.
Right.
So
well, you can't mess about with it. You've got to be careful, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true. So I could be here for at least 3 or 4 years. Right. At least I've been in this house. I'm in 21 years now.
Give up, really? Wow.
21 years next month.
Fantastic.
I can even remember. I mean, how this is a piece of useless information for you. I remember the exact date I moved in here. It was the 18th of July, 1999. I moved in.
Right.
And so it's almost 21 years in a day.
That's fantastic. Good on you.
So anyway, as I was saying, so once I've had these assessments done, then it has to go through the social services for me to try and get some sort of property down there. But the flats down that area, it's for so-called normal people, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
They're like golders. People find it hard to get property down there.
No, I can believe it.
And because my needs are so complex, they know I can't live in a flat. It would have to be some sort of house somewhere. But the house is down there like flipping gold or something. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to bide my time here.
Right. Hey, well, good luck. Let's hope it's soon for you.
Yeah, I want to start new life. I think I could be making a big bloody mistake and all, like, because if I was to move, who knows what sort of neighbours I might get. Because where I'm here, been here for the last 21 years, I've never had it as good here, mate.
I've
never had it as good. I've got really good neighbours.
No, I hear that, but that's an excuse for just not doing anything. And the thing is, life's for living. You've got to try different things, and you'll be surprised. It's just have the guts and gumption to go for it, and you never know. Might be 1,000 times better. You can never tell. Yeah.
I'll say one more quick thing. You know, I love singing. It's been a big part of my life, pretty much all of my life.
Sure.
And cycling, as you know. But after 30 plus years of singing, I can honestly say, and I'm blowing my own trumpet a bit here, in the last 12 months, especially in the last year, since I've had them few online singing lessons with Ken Tampton, on these videos, it's improved my voice 100%.
Great.
Because there's a couple of Queen songs I really liked up until a year ago I couldn't do very well. Now I can master them. And the songs I Queen I can master now is I Want to Break Free. I couldn't do that very well up until a year ago.
Right.
And up until now, rather. And what's the other one, man? Just trying to think. I can't think of it, but one of the other ones is Somebody to Love.
All right.
And I can hit a high note right at the end.
Oh, blimey. Right, that takes
like I say, it's really come on 100%.
Right,
but I won't be going back recording any time soon because I'm trying to save for other things at the moment.
Sure. Hey, well, it's been good catching up, Elvis. Thank you for coming on, man. Keep me posted.
Anytime, Al.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Well, he's hitting notes he could only have dreamt about. We're going to take another break soon, but let's have another superstar while the kettle's boiling. Level 42. They're just a great bunch of guys talking to the main man about ghosts.
Okay, have you ever seen a ghost that had a strange, spooky anything in your life?
Well, no, I don't sort of buy into that kind of thing at all.
Right.
Except for the time when we recorded in what it was then called the Vineyard Studios, which is it then became Pete Waterman bought it, and it was PWR Studios, which is down in what was the old Clink Street Jail. That's what this thing was based in, in London. And Phil and I, on a particularly late night recording session, had been playing pool, and we were just stood sort of talking about this, that, and the other. And the ball, one of the balls on the pool table just rolled from one side to the other, completely of its own volition. Now, like I said, I just don't buy into the whole thing, because what always occurred to me, about ghosts is, why would you want to hang around there? Why, if you're a ghost and you can go through walls, and surely you just go off to the Bahamas, Caribbean. I mean, or somewhere. No, why some stinking? This doesn't make any sense at all. To be going, whoa,
Every boat and every aeroplane would be full of dead people.
That's right. Yeah, they're all in the hold, and they're all going out somewhere lovely. I would do that. But maybe it's a bit like the same as I've always wondered why pigeons and sparrows sort of hang around under bridges in the middle of cities when
they could go to the country.
They could just fly off and go somewhere lovely.
Yeah, conditioning, isn't it? Really,
it is. People like what they know.
0191 488 3188.
This is Night Owls.
Greatest hits radio.
One of the greatest problems that everybody has to suffer, and we all do at one time or another, is not knowing what the future holds, and you kind of know what's going to happen, but you don't know how you're going to cope. And it's that kind of self-doubt. This, I think, kind of sums it up. And it's a thing called Don't Quit that one of you guys actually sent in. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a fellow turns about when he might have won, had they stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a fair and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when they might have captured a victor's cup, and they learned too late when night came down how close they were to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you can never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you mustn't quit. Love that. And we wish you well. Let's crack on. We have Sue from Washington. Hello, Sue.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, blimey, I've missed you. What you been up to? Tell me everything.
Oh, well, I'll update you, right? I've been in agony because last time I spoke to you, I was in pain, and you said, "Oh, get it checked out."
No, absolutely. What happened?
Well, I've spoken to a different doctor who's been absolutely brilliant. Mind, he's played around with my pain meds, but I'm still in. Not I can manage it now.
Right.
But it's still agony. It wakes us up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh. I don't
Have
know
they
what
worked out what it is, though?
Well, I spoke to the MSK clinic, and I'd had an MRI scan a while back, and they actually told us it was mild arthritis. And I said, well, if this is mild, I don't know what severe is.
Yeah, right.
You know? But anyway, I spoke to someone else, and they said, oh, we're looking at your MRI scan now. It's in front of us. And I can see that you've got arthritis in the bottom of your spine, and the L5 and S1 are completely squashed.
Ugh.
So that is the possible cause of the pain and the numbness because of squashing the nerve.
So can they do anything about it? I mean, I know people that have had new vertebrae put in. So, I mean, they've got probably what they need to fix it. Can they not go in there and do something about it?
Not at the minute until they can see us face to face, and they'll try other things before that. But at the minute, the doctor's been absolutely brilliant. He's upped my amitriptyline. He's given us a few diazepam. He doesn't want us to be hooked on them.
Right.
But you know, I mean, I don't take them like I take my other meds. If I wake up in the night and I just cannot drop off, I'll just have a diazepam. You know. And
then you float away to another world.
Yeah. But oh God, what a nightmare!
Awful. Well, what did you ring in for tonight then? So I wish you well. I hope the pain gets easier for you. Blimey.
Well, your subject, what was it again?
Have you ever been anywhere where the telly or the movies have been made?
I did. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've heard of the channel Movies for Men.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a man. It is my channel.
Well, there's a film that's been on quite a lot. I've seen it about 3 times in the past couple of weeks. I haven't seen it, but I've seen it's been on there. Revolution,
right.
And it was made in King's Lynn. So you could say I've visited.
Oh, absolutely. That's where you're going. Yeah, there you go. That's fair. Yeah. Who's in Revolution? Is there anybody we know?
I haven't got a clue because I've never ever watched it. It's not my type. Not my type of
I thought you'd have watched it just to see if the house was in there, or they went down your road or whatever.
Well, they filmed fairly near where my niece got married, so
right.
It's really.
There's something in there. No, I get it. That makes sense. Anything else in, Sue?
I've been to the Emmerdale Studios.
Right.
In Leeds. In Leeds. And that was where they used to film. They don't film there now.
Right.
Oh, although they do. But spoiler alert, and I can't watch scenes without remembering what they told us.
What did they tell you? Tell us everything.
Well, upstairs in the rooms and that upstairs where we the scenes that they do, like with the police stations and hospitals, they film them upstairs. So they don't actually go into a hospital and say, "Can we borrow this bit?"
So they've built a room that's a hospital and a room that's a police station, and that probably makes sense.
So it's kind of like, oh.
And everybody thought they've gone to a real police station. Maybe not.
Yeah. And also, years ago, when my dad had the factory, IQS factory, which is individually quick frozen cockles, I managed to get in the local paper.
How?
Because they came to take photos of this. This is a brand new business.
All right, I see. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. It was when they were bringing because have you seen the gas tanks? Bock. Have you heard of Bock?
Bock.
Bock in red writing.
I don't think so.
Gases. Well, they had to bring this massive, huge tank that had the
you mean BOC? Do you mean BOC?
Yes.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean. When you said Bock, I thought I've never heard of a company called, but I've heard of BOC. Right. Okay.
Yeah. They had to bring it, and it had a police escort in the front and a police escort in the back.
Right.
Because it was that huge, like a big, wide thing. So that was absolutely mint. And we got in the paper because we was working in the factories.
Great.
So we was in the paper, so we were there, a bit of fame there.
Brilliant. Hey, take it all. Absolutely. Yeah. Happy memories. Yeah. Anything else, Sue?
Oh, no, just two songs.
Oh, yes.
Purple Pain.
Purple Pain, very good.
And it's paining men.
It's paining men all over the world, that's true. Sue, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Well done. Great to hear from you again. Had a few others coming in. Mucus is my first love. Thanks for that. Willie Nose come back again. That's just shocking. And also, I think we're alone now. Tiffany, I've chipped a bone now. I tell you, it was worth thinking of. Build me up, buttock up. Oh, dear. Rupture instead of rapture. Very good. Pump up the hamstring. And Elton John's classic, Ricket Man. If that was in Dickensian times, I'd go along with it. And, of course, somebody's come up with Unchained Malady, which is actually quite clever. So let us move on to Caitlin, who is in Ashington. Hi, Caitlin.
Hiya, long time no speak.
No, welcome back. Good to hear from you. What are you on about tonight, then?
Mainly about film places.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a massive Harry Potter nerd.
Gotcha.
I've been up to Alnwick Castle, which is just up the road from me.
Right.
That's the natural thing.
How much of that did they actually... And because I've seen some of the Harry Potter films, I haven't seen them all, but I know that there's like that little priest square thing in Alnwick.
Yeah,
I've seen that in the film.
Courtyard bit, and then there's when you're in Alnwick Castle, and there's the little... To me, it's like a little green thing, like just a grassy area where you've got the castle in front of you. That's where they filmed when they were learning how to ride broomsticks.
All right, and play that game that they play, whatever it is. I can't remember the name of the game, but on broomsticks with a flying thing. Sorry, I don't know.
The pathway towards the gardens, that's where they filmed when Hagrid was talking to the three kids.
Right.
And they did... I'm sure, like, on one of the tours, one of the guys was like, oh, yeah, they did a magic trick where Robbie Coltrane walked on the hill a little bit, so he was lower down.
Right.
Or something like that, just to make the effect of him being a little bit bigger without him being ginormous.
Sure. No, it's amazing that they chose Alnwick, but it's a great castle anyway. It's a good day out to have a look around there. You've also mentioned that you went to Durham Cathedral. I wasn't even aware that Durham Cathedral was used in Harry Potter.
I wasn't until I went on a school trip. I went to Catholic schools growing up, so
right.
This was we've got a cathedral in the northeast. Let's go check it out.
Absolutely, I get it.
I was wandering around, and I went to my tutor. I went, "Sir, why do I recognise this place? I've never been here before in my entire life." I was like, "But I've seen this place before." He went, "I'll give you half an hour." And then I went to him at lunchtime. I went, "This is from Harry Potter, isn't it?" He went, "Finally."
Yeah.
He was like, "I've been waiting all day."
So which bit of the cathedral is there? Because I know the cathedral pretty well.
I think it's the cloisters, like the square grassy bit.
Right.
Going off what my teacher told me, that was the area that they filmed in.
Because obviously you'd recognise it if you saw the big stained glass windows or the shape of the outside of the building. But no, that kind of makes sense. I hadn't been. More people now, more Potter fans are going to be piling down to Durham to have a look. And the Harry Potter studio tour thing, what was that like? Any good?
I've been from when I was about 22 until 2 years ago when I was doing my degree. I went down every year when they added something new to the studio.
Right.
I was just like, just book as a coach trip. That's me holiday for the year.
Right.
It's me trip away. And last year was the 1 year that I didn't go, and they've added Gringotts Bank.
Right.
And I was like, I've chosen to go to a TV show convention instead of my Harry Potter trip.
Oh, so what was tell me more about the convention. What was that about?
I'm a massive fan of Once Upon a Time now as well. And I found out there's a company in the UK that does all that sort of thing.
Right.
And I was like, okay, let me go check this out. I'll go on one. And Alan, it was the best weekend I've ever had.
Great.
Like, I'm really shy when I meet new people, and I just had the most fun.
And presumably you'd be in a whole batch of strangers as well. But the thing is, you all love the same thing, so you got something special in that brings you all together. I think that's great. Great idea.
I ended up finding the one Geordie person there as well on my first night. He was dressed as Captain Hook, and I saw him, and I looked at him and went, he looks kind of nice, like. I might go and speak to him. And then I walked up to him and went, "Yeah, can I have a photo with you?" He went, "Why, iPet?" I went, "Hang on, where are you from?" He went, "Oh, I'm from Whitley Bay. Where are you from?" I was like, "Asherton."
What's the chances?
We were both volunteering as well, because you can get the chance to volunteer at that convention. So right. I was basically a bouncer. Checking badges and then making sure no one was videoing the stars during a couple of the talks each day.
Right.
And he was on the same team as me, so he spent most of the weekend dressed like Captain Hook, and on the Sunday he just wore normal clothes, and I was like, I don't like it.
Just see, you have to dress up.
Back on.
You're gonna have to dress like Captain Hook if you want to be in my company. That's the thing. Hey,
yeah.
Hey, well done, tremendous. It's always good when you get to complete one of those challenges, because I think it's a challenge to try and get to be a part of, especially television programs, because they're made millions of miles away. Usually you don't get a chance to meet the stars or do anything like that. To have something that you can attend for a full weekend, I think that's brilliant.
They had the stars there as well, and it was just honestly, it was awesome.
How about that? They should do that for every TV show, though. They should have a chance for fans to meet their heroes like that, because it makes all the difference, and you feel a much bigger part of it if you've shook hands with the people.
I cried loads of times over the weekend just meeting the people. Like, there was someone from Buffy there,
right?
And obviously everyone's there as a fan of Once Upon a Time, but I was like, oh my god, she played Anya from Buffy. Oh my god. Like, I was proper freaked out.
That's good. Great to meet you, heroes. Thanks for coming on, Caitlin. Great to hear from you again.
Can I wish my friends a happy birthday? Because I've got 3 birthdays.
Go for it. Name them all.
Happy birthday to Claire, who celebrated the 20th. Maria, who's just had her birthday, and Dave's is on Wednesday. I've had 2 nights off the trot of social distance partying. So,
That's
I've had a
fantastic.
fun weekend.
Good. Hey, let them all be like that. Thanks a lot, and well done.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Caitlin. Take care.
Bye.
Right, bye-bye. She's great as well. I've had a lot of corking calls. Sue says it's her wedding anniversary on Tuesday as well. 25 years. Sue, congratulations to you. And well done. Mark says it's been a glorious sunny day today. Nice to end the day listening to your show. So what's the crack? Are the pubs going to start opening over the next couple of weeks or not? By God, they need to. Absolutely dying for a nice, refreshing pint. What they should do is relax the laws on drinking in the street and serve people using plastic pint glasses so they can wander about instead of staying sat in the pub. Well, it's all very well saying that on a nice, bright, sunny day, but we've had a whole week of it bucketing down, and then your pint never gets any smaller. So not really the best idea, but I know what you mean. We're kind of desperate for a change. Breaking wind beneath my wings has been suggested. Also, I haven't given you your second clue yet for tonight's competition to win a Night Owl mug. First clue, take both the U's, the G and the H out of donut. Whatever's left is what we want. Second clue, Pat Benatar had a hit called We Something. What is that? We Something. What is that word? Pat Benatar. You might have to look her up. It was a great song. We Something. What was that other word? 2 clues down. 2 more clues to come. You'll end up with 4 words from a very famous song that most of you will have sang very, very loudly over the years. Now, Judy from Redcar. Let's go there first. Hi, Judy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you kindly. What you got for us all?
It's just about where I've been that have links to TV and film.
Tell me more.
When I retired from teaching, I took my first term time holiday and we went on a 3-week road trip to the States.
Brilliant.
Which was absolutely amazing. We started off with, I don't know if you've heard of St. Augustine, where they've got the haunted lighthouse.
This is Florida.
Yes, Florida.
Yeah, no, I know St. Augustine, absolutely.
Yeah, lovely place. I absolutely loved it.
The little sneaky side streets with little tiny shops up alleys and stuff. It's beautiful.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It really is. But we went to the haunted lighthouse.
Right.
Because we'd seen it on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Asylum.
Yeah.
So that was our first day.
Great.
And then we went right the way up the eastern counties until we got to Savannah.
Right.
Where we went to see the Forrest Gump bench.
Right. Excellent.
Which was it was a beautiful town. Lived there.
But it's a bench. I mean, I'm presuming that have they put a plaque up or something?
Yeah, and you can have your picture taken on it.
Yeah, but do they proclaim it, or do you have to find it?
You have to find it.
Oh, you have to really?
Well,
I thought they would have had a picture of Forrest sitting on it, and this is the actual
no cardboard cutouts.
Right.
But you did have. We went on a tour.
Right. Oh, I see.
And they actually pointed it out to us.
Brilliant.
But it was actually on all of the maps as well to say, this was a spot to see, along with places like, the slave markets and things like that, which weren't so good.
Sure. No, and I know we're heavily into that whole negative history thing, but it was part of our history. And when you go to places like that, I think it brings it very strongly to you what went on there. And you think they actually sold human beings here. I mean, and I know, you got to remember, Georgia was one of the big slave states, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we went to visit Boone Hall, which was where North and South was filmed.
Right, yeah, the plantation.
Good old Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. I thought there was something that would have attracted your attention to the whole thing.
But we did a hayride around the estate, and it was actually someone whose great-grandparents were slaves on the plantation.
Oh, wow.
And as a result of that, they still have like a sharecropping right.
All right.
So when they go and they work in the fields, and they are getting the cotton harvest in,
right,
and they get a share. Still.
Right, because it's funny, after the North won, obviously the Union Army defeated the Confederates, and when they surrendered, a lot of the people who were slaves were in an impossible position because, first of all, the people who had the plantations couldn't afford to pay them because obviously they'd had all these years of war where they're not making anything and fields are being burned and what have you. So all of these people who, even if they treated their slaves, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but treated them better and not particularly harshly, the slaves wanted to stay on the land where they'd lived, which was their home, and they had to go and find somewhere to work and live, and it was a horrific upheaval of human beings that had nothing, absolutely nothing. It was a horrendous time for, and of course, who was supplying a lot of the slaves? The British. It was us, we'd go into Africa and just picking people up and shipping them off. And
I just learned a fact over the weekend. My niece is a historian,
right?
And she has studied Jamaican history, and that the British government in 2015 made their last payment to the slave owners for compensation for freeing the slaves.
Unbelievable. What, 2015? That's unbelievable.
I couldn't quite believe it, but this is her period of history.
Sure.
This is what she knows. She wrote a book about slavery.
I don't doubt it. It's, but you see, this is even more proof. If you think about how heinous that is.
I couldn't quite believe it.
But that's what when they banned slavery, everybody thought, well, that's one in the eye for all of those rich people that had estates.
No.
They banned slavery by paying them off, essentially. Saying, well, don't worry, we'll give you all this money. And they ended up hiring people to do the same job that they were doing before. So as far as they were concerned, business hadn't changed. They still got cheap people to work in the fields.
And compensated for it.
Happy days. So, the rich, it's a cliche, but the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. That's the same world we live in today.
It is. But
very sad. Very
sad indeed. But anyway, further on up,
right,
we went to good old Walton's Mountain.
And that is, when I was a kid, my parents, that was like their show. It was like me mum, Coronation Street, and me mum and dad together, the Waltons. And they tended to make you cry at least every second episode from what I remember. My mother was always...
Yes. It was the back of beyond.
Right,
the town itself. Well, it isn't a town.
So was it in Georgia or was it somewhere?
No, that's in Virginia.
Virginia, right.
It's in the Blue Ridge.
Right.
So it was absolutely amazing. There was nothing there, and still nothing there.
You would have thought, you see, I'm a great believer that when a television program has had that much impact in the world, that the cabin should be there. You should be able to go in and see where, John Boy wrote his stories, or there's Grandpa's shack, or all of that should be there, in my opinion. I think we throw these things away, and then because we've been watching the Waltons is still on now. So blame me, that should be there. It should be collected for perpetuity, in my opinion.
There was bits in the museum, which was the outside of the school.
Right.
And inside they had little fixtures from what was Ike God's store. Right. They had the still from the sisters, Baldwin sisters.
Right.
They had other bits that belonged, and they had one of the Waltons at the living room set up. Because, of course, it was filmed in LA. It wasn't filmed.
No, they just do the outside shots, probably for the titles in Virginia, right?
You could see the house, but it was literally a private house, so you couldn't go in it. So you could see the porch, wraparound porch,
right,
and the swing and things like that. But you couldn't go in it,
shame.
which was a real shame because that was our furthest north point that we went to.
I see, right.
And then we went across the Blue Ridge, all the way along to Tennessee, and down to, we went to Memphis. Elvis's place was tacky as anything.
Really?
Oh, God, it was awful.
Tacky? I thought it would be probably the classiest thing known around Graceland. It sounds wow.
Tacky. I mean, when he had shag pile green carpet on the walls,
right?
Do I need to say any more in the jungle room? You know, it was a proper
really what a
70s house,
really,
with somebody that had grown up with nothing and didn't really have necessarily the taste to go with it.
No, but I mean, I was just reading something about film stars because I'm putting something on the podcast about like wacky things that rich and famous actors and actresses got up to, and I was doing a little bit of research in that regard, and just one of the daft facts popped up, and it was Elvis Presley had sex with Hollywood starlet Jane Mansfield, you know, the one sadly that was decapitated in a car crash, but because he'd slept with her and he was grateful to her, he bought her a pink Cadillac. And you think, now that's pretty cool. I mean, I've been grateful for lovemaking in the past, but I've never gone that far. So you think, well, Elvis, if he's that magnanimous, his home, you know, if he can throw that amount of money away, he must have had quality marble this and marble that. I would have imagined it to be incredible more than anything because he was one of the biggest, you know, more hits than pretty much anybody.
I think, don't quote me on this, but one of the toilets had poodles on the wall. You know, that seems to stick in my mind. But somebody actually touched something.
Right. Yeah, I can see where you got your idea of the tackiness there.
Yes. They touched a chair. Just because they got knocked into it. And one of the people said, "Get off. Don't touch.
Right.
Can't do this." You couldn't touch anything. You could just go in, stand and look. And you could only do downstairs.
Right. Blimey. I mean, you wouldn't expect that. You would have thought it is a place that Elvis fans across the world want to flock to. You'd have thought they'd put something on for them or have somebody singing an Elvis song or just doing something.
Yeah, there wasn't anything. It was the biggest waste of money out.
Wow, I would never have thought. Hey, but fascinating all the same. Hey, what a trip that must have been, mind Judy.
It was, and it didn't end well. Unfortunately, I got septicemia while I was there.
What did you cut? What did you...
I don't know what. I think it was something I'd eaten.
All right. Oh, dear me.
Something, and then I was in hospital for 3 weeks when I got back. And then I had to have my gallbladder removed. It was horrendous.
No, that's not a great way to end a trip, that's for sure.
And then I had to have my gallbladder removed. Oh, sorry, I was just showing my husband who I was talking to.
That's all right.
I'm walking him up talking.
Oh, bless. Hey, well, Judy, I'll let you explain yourself.
I will do.
Thank you for coming on. Take care, lover.
Then cheerio.
Bye-bye. Oh, what a shame. What, who's there? You talking to a strange bloke? Yeah, talking to me, man. Who and why not? I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then we're going to take a break. And yon end of the break, I think we're frankly going to blah. But first things first, Richie Sambora, guitarist from Bon Jovi, he and I had a chat about, well, how they put together some of their songs.
You can write songs from many, many different perspectives. You can write songs from, how you're feeling at the moment, momentarily. You can write songs from your memories. I happen to have a pretty good emotional memory, and I can pull those emotions out and take a look at them and be able to convey them. Also, you can write it from a point of the observer, a compassionate look at maybe people who are not as fortunate as you are, possibly, or it's just like it's almost like a musical journalist or a musical novelist in certain, because because there's a lot of great novelists out there that write wonderful books that they don't have to exactly live the novel,
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can write.
And that's pretty much it for the TV filmy thing. But I hope you're going to tune into the rest of the show. We got The Block coming. It was hilarious last week. Heaven knows what it's going to be about tonight, because I don't know. And the guys don't tell me, and I don't tell them what I'm going to talk about. So try and tune in. Bon Jovi's on at the moment if you're a bit of a fan of the mullet. And, of course, we got all kinds left. We've still got another hour and a half to do. Love you to join us for that. But if you can't, thank you very much for bothering. Appreciate your time. Catch you next time on the road. Look after yourself and stay well. Thanks again.